What's that metronome I hear? But what's that metronome I hear? Perhaps the end is drawing near. You never hear the shot that takes you down.
Hear me? All right. Besides the
I
technical
was going to
difficulty,
say, it's any time he wait for him to get his mic on, but here he is.
I know, right? It's like fucking this is like StreamYard. Welcome everybody to chapter 2 of Exiled Masculinity, the first one in a while with the new look and all that. We still need to make some new logo, like I guess pictures of us, which I'll be probably in due time. Nonetheless, of course, I am, of course, the House of Chayton. With me, as always, is my co-host, the man with the long list of X's, even greater than I. Page, Phenomenal One, Recon, whatever you want to call him.
Oh man, that in a way that actually feels like an accomplishment. But hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome.
Hello, Vince McMahon. How are you doing? I hope everybody's good after you sold your stock. And Weak Greatness, hello. So, on this episode, and some people, and this may possibly be more so my end, but I do want to hear some feedback also from Paige's point of view. But this is going to be the pros and cons of marriage. As someone who is a divorced man and all that stuff, I'm also going to be doing something that I haven't done in a long ass time, and or some stuff I've never even done before. Got a little tease on Mr. Money's stream a couple of days ago. But I'm going to talk about my experience getting married. Now, granted, I will admit here to everybody, I did not have the traditional wedding. I was not in a suit, in a church, with a priest. And with doves and flower girls and bridesmaids and best man and all that good shit. None of that shit. It was a court wedding, and I'll get into more details about it in a minute. But I do
If
want.
you have not seen the picture of that, if you've not seen the picture, if you've not seen his wedding picture, oh man, it is a classic.
Oh yes. A little behind the scenes stuff here. A little probably a year or so ago. Me and Paige were actually talking about it, and he was he either couldn't believe the fact that I was married, or just couldn't see the tux and all this other stuff. So I said, oh yeah, I still have it in my drive, my Google Drive. So I was like, I showed him the picture, and basically to give you all an idea, I was in wearing leather jackets because it was I think February, Valentine's Day. The leather jacket, a jean shirt, and blue jeans, and all that. So before I get into my story, and all that, what is your thoughts on marriage, Paige?
Well, I think marriage is something that deep down, it's something that from my experiences, even though I'm not married myself, I do feel like if you are married with a person who really loves you and really enjoys your company, marriage is one of the most beautiful things that you could ever accomplish in your life. But if you're with someone who absolutely just hates your guts, it is probably the worst thing that you could ever do.
Yeah, and I'll get into that in a moment regarding all that. So, when I was in high school, I basically had two long relationships. The one I had in high school, and then the one I had after high school. Basically, and by the way, hello, Anthony Choba, how you doing? But I had one after that with who would later be my wife. I did, because I know a few friends of mine now that are getting married or they're getting engaged, yada yada yada. And I always tell them, I said, you did it kind of everything right. You kind of were with the person for the longest time. You did, and this, that, and the third. And I think I was 19 at the time. And so I basically met my ex-wife about maybe a couple months prior to us engaging and shit. And it was and I'll get into a funny story actually. So when I was like when we were together, we were also trying to, and it was a mutual thing. We were trying to have a kid and shit. Again, young and stupid, but again, I've said this: if anything I do not regret is the birth of my daughter. That's the main thing I don't regret of the whole situation. Hello, Coco, how you doing, man? So the only thing I can't remember is what happened first. Is that she got pregnant, or if we got engaged? I can't remember which one happened first, but they probably happened around the same time. That's just basically the best I can say. And this was around June or in maybe June, July of 2014. So ironically, next year will be my 10-year anniversary since I met her and engaged, all that good shit. Anyway, so we were trying to figure out when the date was going to be. Found out kind of when my daughter was going to be born. We weren't like made of money at the time. So we were trying to look for something a little more inexpensive. And what better way to do it than Valentine's Day at the courthouse? And it wasn't like your typical thing where you go inside the courthouse. It was like fucking night at fucking, I think midnight or some shit on Valentine's Day. So you're like outside with a bunch
married at midnight on Valentine's Day?
It was like 12:01 on Valentine's Day, yeah. So like, and so like, but yeah, we were like, it was like planning that, making sure the date was there. Hello, Nick, how you doing, man? And then, like, besides that, we were getting stuff ready for when my daughter was born, right? And she was born about like 7-8 days after the fact, maybe 9. I'm trying to remember exactly the time of events, but nonetheless, we were going, like, we were planning everything out and all that, and we finally the day came. Again, it was with a group of people. It wasn't even like, just us or just us and a few others. And we only had, I think, a few people with us. I think I had my mother. Oh, that was a funny story I was going to tell you. So my mom didn't know any of this. She at that time I was kind of still reeling from the last relationship about that. So it kind of, she figured that me and my ex beforehand weren't together, but I didn't make it obvious. So I didn't really say anything or anybody I was dating and all that. And so, and I was living with my mom at the time. So this was, again, when I was 19. And so when she got pregnant, and then also to find out that she was engaged, her uncle, who she was staying with, kicked her out, and she needed a place to stay. And I remember this vividly. I was doing laundry. My mom was outside waiting in the truck, and I was talking to her on my ex on the phone about this whole situation. And I told her, "We can come stay with us." I just told her, "My mom doesn't know any of this yet, so I'm gonna see what happens." So I got off the call. I went to my mom, and I basically told her probably too many things a mother of a 19-year-old should know in a matter of seconds. I said, first off, I'm dating this girl named so-and-so. She's pregnant, and we're engaged, and she got kicked out, and she needs a place to stay. Can she move in? Now, any normal person would have probably just said, fuck off. I'm not letting some random person I don't even know in your place. It was your fault you got her knocked up or whatever. My mom was good. We decided to meet at a mall and all that to go see a movie. And then we went from there. So that issue was settled then. And then, of course, we set up everything for the wedding, all that other stuff. So I think it was mainly my mom, a teacher of ours, and I think another friend of mine who were there. I had a very, very close circle of friends, and to my knowledge, she didn't really have any friends of herself, at least any that I kind of liked and or wanted around since we were having kids and shit. Anyway, and it was difficult. Like, I'll say this. It is difficult for any of you fellas out there who maybe are marrying your significant other and she's pregnant, it is kind of difficult trying to consummate to a marriage to a woman who is basically about to have a kid. But I'm always someone who prevails and finds a way. So I did. Anyway, after that, we went to the worst part that day, because later that day, because it was Valentine's Day after that, we went to go see 50 Shades of Grey. Was not my idea, by the way.
Oh, trust me, that's never a man's idea to watch 50 Shades.
I at least thought I could. I thought that
watching
was
all three movies.
Oh, look, I never did watch. I think I watched the second one or the third one with another date way afterwards, but I can't remember. But I remember though. I said, okay, I'm not really. The only thing I ever found interesting about it was when she reacted to reading the book. She would get so mad at the book; it was kind of funny. And again, like some people may ask why like Mary's so young or have like at that time when you like it's difficult for me to say like, you know, I was lonely or this, that, and the third or whatnot. Or young and stupid, like I've also said, you know, it was a combination. It could be a combination of things where, you know, it was a difficult transition, and it was something because I've openly said that, you know, even though I was happy about the pregnancy, I was mortified because I just didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, you know, and so those are things that kind of were as time progressed and time got closer to everything. It was kind of, you know, that type of it was, but. Like people, I've kind of maybe given one answer or the other, but in retrospect, sometimes I really don't know what came of me to decide to do marriage that young, have a kid that young. Like honestly, if I could, like I said, I don't regret having my daughter, but the things I kind of wish we were together a little bit longer so I could kind of get a better feel for everything. Because after and it, like things started to fall apart after my dog was born, and it just was kind of a roller coaster of a next couple of years in regards to that. And it was something that, you know, and then we would break up, we'd be separated, we'd get back together, we'd break up, we get separated, blah, blah. One thing led to another. And then the worst part of the entire thing, probably along with like, you know, with the custody stuff, was getting the divorce, and one party being in one city, the state of origin where the marriage happened, and then another person being in a completely opposite state away from it and trying to get the divorce there, with also that party having more kids, therefore it affecting me, trying to affect me financially. It was a whole, like, literally, like I think we were separated for like 3 years until finally the divorce happened. 3 or 4 years. I can't remember exactly how long. And it's just crazy how long it took. It may have been easier if there was no kids involved. I would say that it's, from people I know, it's a lot easier to get divorced when it's so costly, but to get, like, you know, it's easier if you don't have kids because you don't have to worry about that stuff. And if both parties are kind of maybe within the same range of one another in terms of location, I guess you would say. Like in the end, besides my daughter and some good moments, it was a headache and something that I really never want to go through again. And I guess you could say the pro you could add to that, because like I've, like, you know, and we know people that are getting engaged or getting married and all that, so I don't want to discredit them and their happiness and all that. But I'm someone nowadays who just truly believes it's a piece of paper. Because let's be honest here, just because you're someone's wife or someone's husband does not restrict you from doing anything nefarious. And that could mean a lot of different things. It could be cheating, it could be this, that, and the third, what have you. Nothing is going. The only thing that's going to change really is going to is like maybe finances, right? Like if you have real estate together and this, that, and the third, where you're going to be doing it together, or in the con section, alimony. Let's like case in point, look at fucking Ric Flair, for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah.
Like, look at him. Like, that's the part why he keeps needing to fucking sign any company he does, because he needs the money for alimony. And so, it's a combination of things where it's like the pros. You could say, okay, I get to call this person my wife. We had a extravagant wedding, or this, that, and the third. I could, here in Texas, we have a thing called common law. You could literally go to someone, and if you two consistently say my wife, my husband, then actually you could be technically married by common law, which would also mean you would still need to get a divorce once you split up. I don't know if they have that in your area, Paige, but that's something here in Texas. So
I think we have something. We have
what happened
here is much more intricate. We have something similar here in Virginia, but I think our marriage and divorce processes are much more intricate.
Yeah, okay, because I was going to say, because like if you ever been in a relationship and you keep going around and pet names, you call someone my husband, my wife, and then fucking for some reason, and you look on the marriage registry and you see your fucking name saying, oh, I'm married to this person just because of common law. And I'm like, that's why I never say that, even anything. Even that if I have like like the old saying of work wives,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very careful of how many times I say that for that same reason. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm like, I call like three people. I got one of my previous jobs. I literally openly have said I had 3 work wives, and they were well aware that they were all the 3 work wives. And so I said, oh shit, could you imagine if that was actually, that could also count? Oh shit, be married to 3 women, that's 3 times the alimony. I can't remember in Texas if it's alimony or if it's not. Anybody from here could correct me on this, but I've heard it's not. I've heard it is. It's a thing. It's a weird thing here. That was the only thing. I'll be honest here. That was the only thing I was worried about, was alimony. I didn't want to have to worry about paying anything for however many years or whatnot. That was the only thing I was worried about in terms of getting the divorce done. I even openly said, you want it out, you get us out. I'm just gonna be sitting pretty and all that and doing my own thing. It's not gonna stop my love life or my sex life, so it's not like, Then again, it's San Antonio, so most women do not care even if you are married. And I'm talking actually fucking married. I'm not saying like you're separated or you're just waiting on divorce. No, I'm talking like you just fucked your wife and then then they'll try to fuck you afterwards. So, yeah. But, and hello, Dragon, by the way. But that was the worst part, was getting at. So, the con was the divorce because it's going to be costly depending on if you decide to pay it. And depending on what each party wants. So if they want anything you accumulated during your marriage. Like, for example, like let's say one party has an Xbox Series and then the other party has a PS5 and they want the consoles, stuff like that, or I don't know, the house that they own or they rent or whatever, or car that they own. So luckily, when it finally got finalized, everything that we both agreed on happened, so we both walked away happy. I was just happy that I didn't have to pay any child support for any of the kids that weren't even mine. So that was one thing.
Oh yeah, that is a miracle right there. That is a miracle.
Yeah. Because I always said this. I'm like, I'm someone who I've said I would, if I had kids like this baby back when I was younger, I'd have 2, 3 max, and 3 is pushing it. Like 3 is like I need to have very good, steady, high-paying job, a nice house, and all that shit. That would be like my limit in terms of that. I cannot even imagine. Like again, I have been around where, hello, John Dillinger, and is it coming in November or is it coming in December? I thought they said next month. But nonetheless, I literally sometimes will go to a girl's place and we have our fun and shit. She has kids or whatnot. And I cannot imagine, like, even as a single mother, and it's always that I respect someone who actually put in the work to take care of all those kids by themselves. My point is, they'll see like 3 or 4 kids. I'm like, how the fuck can you do that? Like 3, like, 4, 5, 6, or all that shit. And then especially, like, I feel bad also, unless the guy deserves it, because if he's deadbeat or some shit, I feel bad for the guy because I'm like thinking, oh, he's fucked. He's never going to have a decent paying job because all his money, whether it's, and even if it is decent paying, it's going to go right to that child support. It's like, fuck. But yeah, it's the pros, like, to me, there's not many pros compared to the cons. Cons are mainly, in my opinion, the divorce procedures, mainly if you have kids. And if the other party or the male or female have other kids afterwards, while you're still doing the divorce and all that, then you have the idea of, the cost of it. Then, of course, you have just any further stuff like, of course, alimony or anything of that nature along with it and all that. So to me, it's a big headache that is over a piece of it. What you get whether it's in a church or a courtroom, you will now kiss the bride, but then you just get the paper certificate. That doesn't bind you to, besides real, like, a state or whatnot, that doesn't bind you to anything. Like, you are not stuck with this person for the rest of your life. I know the old days, they treat that more seriously. That even if you did cheat with someone or do this or do that, you stuck by the person. Unfortunately, I think I've told a story before. My grandfather was like that. He had his way with some women while he was still married to my grandma, but he never left my grandmother in the sense of he always came home to her and he always took care of her till the day she died. And he told any woman he was with that was always going to be. So back in the old days, even if there was some gray in there, they still had some respect of that. But nowadays, from my experience and or other people that I know's experience, no one respects it anymore. And it could be just the culture we're in. It could be a multitude of different reasons. The pros, I would say, is nice moments. Like, but again, if you have some very bad divorces, those moments are not good to go back and look at. So it kind of defeats. So the cons out kind of counteract some of the pros, in my opinion.
That makes sense.
If you want to add anything from someone who hasn't been married, but someone who maybe I'll ask you: do you think one day you'll get married?
I don't see myself getting. I don't know if I could see myself getting married. That is a tough question that I think I've been answering a while. Because 2 things I don't see myself really having much in life is marriage and kids. And it's funny because my ex, who I just kind of got out of a relationship with, she I think was very adamant about having a kid. I kind of was very on the I could kind of do without that in my life kind of aspect of myself. So that was like one area of conflict.
I always say live like I did everything backwards. I did like the marriage life and the father life in my early 20s, and then I did basically my early 20s and my mid to late 20s. I kind of did it in backwards. I kind of, because around this time is the time where you kind of look at yourself and think, I want to settle down. Now, it's too late. It's never too late to settle down. You could be 30s, 40s, 50s, hell, even 80s. Again, I'll bring him up again. Ric Flair has gotten married so many times in so many different decades that, it's become a joke, So, it's like, it's the point of it's never too late for that. But Well, I'll say it to you like this. Whenever I've gotten serious with somebody, I openly will tell them that I'm not that, before we go any further, these are two things. One is more, can lead to something if it feels right. The other is not going to happen. No questions asked. The one thing that's not going to happen is marriage. That's not going to happen. Been there, done that, don't want to do it again. Kids, however, I would be open to if we're both in good, stable jobs, good, stable living, both have our heads on straight, what have you, and we've been together for a little bit, maybe a few years, and all that. That's like the old like because people have asked me, would you ever get married again or would you have kids again? And I said, I would have kids again. If you put a gun to my head and told me I had to nut in one chick or I had to fucking pop the question to another, I'm gonna nut in that chick. I'll probably nut in the other chick too. I know people, it got a little crass here, but that's how it is here in Exiled Masculinity. But plus let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. There's not a lot like there are some. I'm not going to say that there are not any, but there's not a lot of people who at least I would deem wife material. There's not a lot of, and maybe I'm looking in the wrong place.
That is so true.
Huh?
I said, oh man, that is so true.
Like you look at, like I've always said this, I look at some women I'm either friends with or whatever in three different ways. I look at them basically as completely just a friend, no sexual tension, nothing in that regard. And then I look at the other chick. Then there's one that I look at romantically. I'll talk to a little differently. I'll be a little more lovey-dovey, mushy, that type of shit. And then they have the other girl that basically cool as fuck or whatever, but we may have some sexual tension. I'm attracted to her in a sexual sense, and vice versa, and we hook up that way. That's usually my three ways of doing that. But it's usually the two things that usually happen is the friend section or the sexual section. It takes a lot for me to look at it in a romantic sense because nowadays my bullshit detector goes off quickly. My last, what you would call serious relationship, didn't only last a couple months because my bullshit detector started to come in around that time and I started to see certain things I wasn't a fan of. And so it led to us splitting up and shit, and that's and that's one thing. Actually, you know what? As another thing I don't regret from my marriage, it got me to detect bullshit a lot quicker and a lot easier, and not be so succumb by the nookie, if you will. I don't do it all for the nookie anymore. What? All that. But so you don't want to you don't want to have kids.
Oh yeah, you can't do it all for the nookie.
Huh?
I said you can't do it all for the nookie.
Yeah, you can. You can. It's great, but it fucking poisons your brain and it corrupts you. Trust me, as someone from experience, I've known that all too well in the past. But so you don't want to have kids. You don't want to if I'll use the same question I had with me. If someone put a gun to your head and told you had to do one of two things, you can't pull the trigger yourself. I hate when people do that here. I'm not going to answer that or I'm going to pull the trigger. Yeah, you got to do one. You either got to pop the question or you got to nut in the bitch. Which one would you do?
Oh, well, I feel like, trying to think, which one? Deep down, I might actually say, because you say you might nut in the bitch, part of me feels as well. And I can say it for a lot of similar reasons. Mainly,
you might cut out again.
Okay, let me.
We always
nut in the bitch. I think that's probably my option. I would choose to. I would nut the bitch over
popping the question.
Over getting married. Yeah, over popping the question.
But if you get married and if you don't have kids, then then the divorce may not be as difficult. But
it's definitely not.
But on the other
It's
hand,
definitely not as difficult.
I
It's
was gonna
definitely
say,
not as difficult here because here I know for a fact here in Virginia the divorce rate if you have a kid you have to stay separated for at least a year before you can get a divorce.
really, you can't just automatically get the divorce right away or in all that.
No, you have to if you have a kid you have to be separate. You have to be estranged from each other for at least a year.
Damn. See, that would have been different because anytime I was separated, we would like, and that's what always sucked because we were always around the same areas, so it'd be easy for us to run into each other, and then we run into each other and all that, and then we just hook up and everything would be back being copacetic again for a couple months or a couple of weeks, depending on either of our moods. And so, it was fucking weak. That was the thing. I said this. The best thing that ever happened was when she left to a different state to where I didn't have to see her that much. Therefore, I could gradually get over everything. And also without needing to bury myself in some other woman, which is usually what I did, or whatnot. Because I openly said, I didn't, after the separation, the last separation, I fucked this one ex right after, like maybe a day after. After that, I didn't have sex for almost an entire year. I didn't even really date anybody for an entire year. It was kind of, I called that, and no pun intended, my self-imposed exile. As someone who knows a thing or two about going into self-imposed exiles, I went in self-imposed exiles way before here. It was for a completely different. It was just because when everything happened, I myself was thinking that I was the problem and all that. As time progressed and as I started to reflect, I realized that was I perfect? No, but I was not the problem. I was not the issue within everything. Because I openly said I never cheat. I never did anything like abuse wise or anything like that. Never did anything of that nature. Worst thing I could say I was, and to be fair, it was mutual on both ends. We were mentally abusive to each other in terms of talking shit. That was basically the only thing I could say. Yeah, that part, things I wish I didn't say or whatnot, yada, yada, yada. But when I reflected on everything, that's why I kind of, and once I started, I guess, quote unquote, getting my mojo back. And because, like, again, I've openly said my confidence didn't really come in, like my charisma and all that you see before you didn't come in until like probably after my separation and the proceeding of divorce. But again, fuck, a whole year that you have to be separated before. So let me ask you. So can you hook up with the ex and still be separated?
I don't think so. I don't think that's how Virginia divorce works because that kind of, if you think about it, that kind of dilutes the point
Yeah, true.
of getting a divorce.
It's got me a hotel room on the outskirts. Just be on the outskirts of somewhere for you. Like, oh yeah, let's go to a hotel. Let's fuck. I'm not going to nut in you because no evidence. And if anybody asks, you just fuck some random dude down the street, or I fuck some random chick down the street. So that way we both feel bad about ourselves. You got a male hooker, I got a male hooker. You're happy. Well, it goes back to my whole idea, because when people talk like have complained about OnlyFans or all that, and I was one of them back in the day, I'll admit that. But when they say online prostitution, I always throw this counter to people. We are all hookers in one way, shape, or form. Because being a hooker or doing that, you're paying for sex. You're paying for that type of stuff. So what do we do to pay for sex? Or in some way, shape, or form? Like, we have to pay the house or apartment we're in so that when we can bring a girl over for sex, we have to stock up the fridge for that type of shit. Mm-hmm. We have to go and buy them dinner, buy them flowers, buy them Taco Bell for some cheap bitches. Go buy a fucking box of chocolates, a nice little necklace. And what does most women do when they do that type of shit? When you do that type of shit, you usually go back to your place or their place or a hotel or whatever the fuck, and you fuck. So in a way, if you really think about it, you are paying for sex in a less conspicuous way, I guess you would say. What's your thoughts on that? I'm actually curious to hear your thoughts on my opinion on that matter.
We all do this stuff in a lot of ways. We do it very indirectly, which I think is the point that you're trying to make in a lot of ways, because we may not look at it as, oh, we are paying directly for this, but deep down we know, us men, we at least know if we're trying to get, or at least we know if we're going on a date, we know most times where we're trying to end up.
Yes. Like, let's look at it from this way. I've always said this. Sometimes, and I don't do this, well, there were a few times, I'll admit this, and this is not just my marriages and other relationships too. Sometimes the best sex in the world is makeup sex. When you fucking have a ferocious argument, or even if you argue and you don't see each other for a couple of days, the absence makes the heart grow fonder or whatever, then you fucking go at it like rabid dogs, fucking on a bone. Like your dick is a bone, she's getting out of her way to get a bite. You know, and I'm talking like a nice bite, not like fucking biting your dick off type bite. But like, trust me, in my marriage especially, I got into arguments intentionally because sometimes, because I've openly said this, our sex life at times was not the best. But when we were pissed off at each other, oh, our sex life was great. That was probably a mixture of hate sex and fucking I love you say like beasts, like, you know, like fucking just two rabid dogs or wolves or whatever, fucking just getting it on. Fucking different positions, fleck of like different, like one part of the anatomy going a different way than it usually does, shit like that. So that's another thing. Sometimes, you know, the best sex is makeup sex. And your thoughts on that?
Oh man, I can agree. I can agree with makeup sex being some pretty hot stuff. It could be some very hot and intense stuff, especially because the emotions, they're so high, and that just plays like a whole nother factor, I think. And when it comes to sexual relationships, that just plays a whole nother factor to it. If the emotions are at like just a really high point like that, it just kind of maximizes the experience.
Like, I'll say this, and before I continue, hello, Mysteriously Kind, hope you're doing well. I'll tell this story. You know, there's very obsessive people, but you know what? Fuck it, it's Exiled Masculinity. People are probably gonna get offended. So I maybe got canceled, and we're basically 2 episodes in. My point is, there was one time where we were in my marriage. It was the last great sex I had, and with her, and the best sex we ever had. We had a split up. It was like at the summer in the spring of 2017. We got back. Well, technically, we got back. We were kind of just doing the fooling around thing. We weren't gonna do anything more than that, which is always awkward because my mother invited us for her birthday to go to Olive Garden. And while we are sitting there. And she does not know that me and her are kind of not together, but we're fooling around. But I'm sitting there when she gets up and I think goes to the restroom. So I'm sitting there under the fucking table, my hand up her skirt. I said, I got a little brave at that point. Because I was a little more restrained a lot of times in, I guess, public type of shit. At that point, I was like, you know, you're not my wife, you're my fuck buddy at this. It's like we've kind of agreed to that. And, you know, if you let me, I'm going to fucking do that. Anyway, before that, when we decided, we ran into each other and I think we had dinner or lunch or some shit. We were just talking about things. We were trying to figure out where do we go from here? Do we get back together? Do we just fool around? Because at least then we knew, hey, you trust me with your body, I trust you, yada, yada, yada. But by the time we went back to my place, it was most intense sex. It was like spit aid. It was fucking vaginal, anal, shit like that, creaming her ass, all this other shit. It was like porn level of fucking sex. like, I was like, damn, I didn't know you had this in you. Like, here I am kind of still learning about myself and my body and all that other stuff, learning of things I could do, learning things I can't do, yada, yada, yada. And so I was like, damn, I didn't know you had this in you. And fucking, it was great. But there's a caveat to that. That's how she got me. Because after that, I was like, oh, damn, that was like, we need to fucking get back together and shit and all that. I was like, damn, that was fucking hot. It was like our love reunited again. And then, of course, I think 6 months later, we slept for the final time. But at that point, and in the back of my head, it was also, I was still with, I was kind of under, it was like, at the moment, I was like, oh, we're back together. And then the next time we did stuff, it was pretty basic. So at that point, I was like, okay, it's becoming an issue to see my kid and all that other stuff when we're not together. So I will just stay with you for the time in which, again, I'll recommend this to everybody who's ever thought about doing that. Don't do it. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your partner. It's not, and most importantly, it's not healthy for the child. So that's one thing I will say, something I learned from that. But I thought, okay, I get 2 perks of doing this. 1, I get to see my daughter. And number 2, I get free pussy. Which, again, that should tell you where your stance is in terms of where you want this to end. If you just basically say that your wife is just free pussy to you, that's when you kind of look at yourself and think, okay, that's when like, would I know if I went back in time and did that, I would have done things completely differently. I would have told myself, don't do it. It's not going to end well, and it's just going to create more problems for you and all that shit. Just like you could have that one time where you nut in the bitch and then you fucking move on. You go back to whatever the fuck you're doing, and you just deal with whatever repercussions with child support or whatnot later on down the road, or in some cases get everything situated. So it was a very rocky end to everything. Being homeless, homeless in El Paso, fucking that trip was fucking. I hated El Paso. I will go to Laredo. There's someone I know in Laredo. I would actually go for her, but El Paso, no, thank you. After my last experience, mountains are beautiful, but yeah, El Paso was trash. Their Kmart looked like a fucking what's the best way I could describe it? It's like a rundown Goodwill. Best way I could describe how that Kmart was. I was so excited because I haven't been to Kmart in many years, probably over a decade plus. Because most of the Kmarts they had here in San Antonio, they closed down many years ago, probably early 2000s, if I remember correctly. I still remember, I think the last T-shirt I bought there, I bought like a WrestleMania 17 T-shirt. I still wish I had that shirt, but that also tells you how long it's been since Kmart's been around here. When WrestleMania 17 was a thing. Now
that was
WrestleMania 40, for my sake.
Yeah.
But to not just be talking about negative things, there was positives in it. I will not be, as someone who has evolved as a person and all that, I'm not someone who's just going to be bashing or just continuously talking negative. There were memories that I will always remember, that they were good memories. Like I mentioned earlier about the whole 50 Shades thing, I was more entertained when she read the book. When we got our first place together in, I think it was 2016, we had a lot of good memories there. We had a lot and all that. It was nice to be able to say we got our own bed, we got our own furniture, TV, whatnot. We didn't, we couldn't say we just got it off of my mother or family member of hers or whatnot. Even some good memories involving my mom and all that stuff. There was good stuff that happened back in that year. It was a tale of two halves in that year. There was like the first half when we moved in, because it was around the time that I took her to this very nice hotel and near a very expensive area of San Antonio. We went to go see Deadpool. It was our 1 year anniversary. We went there and all that. We went to go see Deadpool because I told her after 50 Shades of Grey, I said, I'm picking the movie next on our anniversary. Fuck that shit. So there was things I will always remember. Again, our time in our 1 year anniversary, that was great. You know, that was probably the best anniversary thing we had because we really didn't have. I don't even know if I'm remembering correctly. We were not together for our 2 year anniversary, and then by the time our 3 year anniversary were to happen, we were done for good. And ironically, I think we were even though we were not together for now going into 5 years, but at the time before the divorce was finalized, we were married for, what was it, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Damn, 7 years. So technically I was married for 7 years, even though 3 or 4 of those years I wasn't with her. You know, it's kind of crazy to think about that. But I guess to wrap up that side of it is that, you know, it just kind of made me not want to get married again with everything that happened post separation. And that's why whenever I'm serious about someone, I openly tell them that, you know, you've got to be able to, you know, like, you got to understand this is a deal breaker for me. Marriage. Kids can be talked about later on, but marriage is a deal breaker for me. I will not do, like, in a perfect world, I want to do both, and we just be able to live our lives happily and grow together without needing to worry about little tykes. But again, that would be something I'd be more open to in that regard because, and to be fair, I'll say this to people. If you are planning on marrying someone or having thoughts about it or whatnot, don't let my situation deter you from that. Because everybody's marriage is different. You know, they're like, even using wrestling again, I'll use that again. There are some marriages like Triple H and Stephanie, been married 20 years. I think Sable and Brock, which I still can't believe that they became a thing, or been married for almost 20 years. You know, there are marriages that last a long time. I talk about my grandfather and grandmother, despite some of my grandfather's stuff he did on the side, they were married for 52 years before but again, different times, you know. You had longer marriages back then because it was kind of frowned upon to get divorced and all that stuff. Nowadays, you kind of get married, you get divorced within the same year, and everybody kind of doesn't even think about it, you know. But because again, my marriage is different from anybody else's marriage. You can be happy and all that, but it is something to learn from my past, because again, I guess the main thing I'll say to round off that story is that when we were, I guess you would say, young and in love, everything was one thing. But by the time we got married and had a kid, it became a completely different situation going forward that just lingered on and was never really. Because I will admit, I tried to do marriage counseling. I tried to do this. I tried to do that. And either she wouldn't do it, or we just didn't have the time, one thing or another. So there was moments where I tried to see what can be done to salvage everything. But honestly, as I've always said about me and my ex-wife, is that we were walking heroin. We were addicting as all hell to each other, but we were never meant. It will never end well. But again, you know, and that's why I try to do nowadays. Like, Paige, you and I have talked behind the scenes about certain things. I've tried to give you the best advice I can from my own experiences.
You have.
You know this, that even if I have some exes that are batshit crazy, there are some other ones that I have more fond memories over, or maybe I'll still hook up with. Like, I'll use this as an example. My first ex-girlfriend, she was fucking batshit crazy. Probably almost as crazy. She was she was satanic, yada yada yada, blah blah. But You know, there are certain things my ex-wife did that kind of counteracts it. So if someone put a gun to me and told me if both of them were willing, who would you hook up with again? I know I would hook up with. My ex-wife wouldn't be one of them, just because the bag of the history and all that. There's a lot more history in that regard. The history between me and my first ex is just between me and her. There was no involvement of any third parties or cheating or this, that, and the third. It was just we had different ideas for the other person, and it just ended that way. And then when we realized that those ideas were not going to come to fruition, we ended things. But again, we still hook up every so often, all that. I'm not ashamed to admit that. My point is, though, is that that's something that I can like, you know, deal with, you know, and all that. Shit, I'll openly say this. I let her fucking someone break into my apartment. She's good at picking locks. My point is, though, is that I'd rather have that, because at least then I'd be like, I have somebody to come over to besides my dog. Because usually I know what's going to happen at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Find you a ex-girlfriend page who's willing to break into your home every so often and then get it on with you just for old times' sake.
Oh man, I don't know. Oh man, there are a couple of exes who I probably wouldn't mind that, but then there are some where if they did, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna move to a new house this week.
Are you showing? Yeah, Jordan says, "Are you showing appreciation to the fans this week?" Well, I am. I'm giving some new insight in some things that, you know what, for the longest time, and I don't even know if I fully told Paige of the main conversation I was going to have. For the longest time, I've been so negative, and again, I was negative today. I'm not going to fucking deny that, but I've been so just down and trying to defend one thing and all that. I'm just happy to tell my side and tell it more, like, you know, sometimes vividly. You missed it, Jordan. I talked about like nutting in an ex-wife's ass and all that other stuff. You missed all the juicy stuff, Jordan. I was waiting for your eyes to pop out when you heard that, because, you know, ride dirty with Jordan, ride dirty with me. You got plenty of wood. Your background shows it. Paige, we need to get Jordan a good old Christian girl one day. We need to find the will of God. Like, you know, people have been trying to challenge my religion for the last couple of months. You know who you are. Person who doesn't like Bo is afraid. Yeah, I'm saying it. Anyway, my point is that, you know, we need to get Jordan.
Well, your religion, that's between you. Well, your religion, that's between you and God. Anyway.
Oh, he hasn't mentioned it to you either? Wow, I thought you two were like we're gonna have to expose that person. That's gonna be Exiled, Masculinity chapter 3. We're just gonna bash that person, you know. Just we're not gonna say his name. We're just gonna call him Panda Man. We're just gonna fucking make a stream and fucking just call it the Panda Man. We're just gonna appear with pandas and shit. We're gonna fucking just actually, you know what? We're gonna get panda hats. We're gonna get panda like Sammy Guevara back when he first started AEW. We're gonna get panda hats. We're gonna fucking just rant and rave, no pun intended, and we're gonna all that. Let's see. Well, you still heard it. I was talking about spitting. I was talking about, you know, vaginal and an anal and a nut in the girl's ass. Now if you ever think about that person again, you will never look the same again. Anyway, but yeah, like but yeah, we got to find the will. Like, you know, like I've talked to some people about miracles about me. Well, you know what, my final miracle to believe, we need to get Jordan a good old Christian girl. And when that happens, maybe then I will return to the I guess the land of the living, or the holy spirit or whatnot. It's like that scene from fucking Sons of Anarchy when Clay says, when he was in prison, he's talking in the. If anybody's seen Sons of Anarchy, it's a great show, but he's sitting there and they're having like a sermon, or a Christian sermon in the prison, and he's like, you know what sets me free? You know what sets me free, brother? Pussy, sweet, holy pussy. And he was like, I've seen the light. I can't. They were telling him to sit down. I was like, I can't sit down. I must sit down. I've got the Lord in me. The pussy is powerful in me, my brothers. If you love pussy, give me an amen. And then he bit a security guard's nose off. So yeah, that's how that scene ended. Let's see. Sloppy Second says, J-Man likes some girl named Miss Mona. Jordan says, Sloppy, I like about most women I come across, emphasis on come, and the thing I like to do is make them laugh. Ever made a woman laugh? I'm waiting. I'm telling you, just show them your wood. That's it. I'm talking about your back, like you're sick fuck. I'm talking about the fucking wood in your bedroom. There's a made joke right there. You could fucking say, "Come in my room, baby. I got plenty of wood."
Hey, girls like some good cedar.
Yeah, like shit. I told Jordan this behind the scenes. Kind of wish I have wooden floors, but I wish I had like a wooden background, with the walls and stuff. It would be, depending on how stiff, no pun intended, how stiff the wood is. It would be difficult to put posts up if you're using the push pins, unless you and all that. But like in regards to that, that's like the only thing that you need to worry about. Let's see. Sloppy says, "I make them moan, not laugh. That's when you are put in the friend zone." Sloppy kind of has a point depending on the laugh. There are certain types of laughs you gotta watch out for in regards to that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like sometimes it's the giggles. That's a little more than just a laugh. And then there's like so funny, man, and all that. Let's see. If you make them moan, that's forced love, and one night stands don't count. Oh damn! So by that aspect, I've not made a woman moan as I thought, because if one night stands don't count, then you chop my list. I think of currently, where am I here? I've lost count at this point, because I'm trying. I was so happy at 50, and then I was like, well, I thought that was going to be the end, and then I kept going, and then now I'm almost to 100, and I'm kind of like at this point, I'm like, do I really want to get to 100? I'm kind of at a crossroads, no pun intended, regarding that. Like, do I want to settle down? Do I want to keep and all that? Plus, it's been funny. I've been giving a female friend of mine friends with benefits advice, because she's kind of getting into that. I'm trying to explain to her what the ins and outs of friends with benefits. I'm like, don't do this. That's a red flag. Or she would tell me, this guy, or my friend, he says we're going to go to movies and he's going to make love to me. I'm like, he's not fucking. You don't say that shit when you're friends with benefits. Paige, would you ever go to a girl that you're just fooling around with? You have no relationship. You have no interest in her romantically. Would you go tell her, I'm going to go make love to you?
That is the most stupidest thing that you could say. Oh man, that is the most stupidest thing that you could say.
Yeah, it's like fucking it's like basically you're telling me I want to be with you more so than just fooling around or doing all that. So I had to basically give her a rundown of the things to do and not to do in a friends with benefits scenario, which actually gives me an idea. Well, I think we've talked about it to an extent in regards to that. Let me keep up with the chat, because I know it looks like let's see. Monsieur Sakine asks, where does the name Exiled Masculinity come from? Well, Paige could also talk about this too. We may have two different points across. First off, I've wanted to work, I've told Paige and I, it's kind of like with me and Dan, we've wanted to work with each other on a project for the longest time. We had a little time, we worked together some stuff with his stuff. He was like an analyst for the the Thursday Night Wars, the legendary Thursday Night Wars, that I am still the reigning defending champion of the YouTube podcast, even though technically we weren't a podcast. This is more of a podcast than what the Hangman Outcast was, let's be honest here. But I still claim that. Just like I claimed victory when Tom beat Jerome. I am the TNT champion, and my instrument of destruction, or if I want to be literal in this sense for Christian's sake, my son Tom, because Christian
I
has.
was gonna say, so now you're Christian. You're the Christian Cage of the community.
Yeah, Jordan actually was the one who gave me that moniker because of that whole situation. Because it reminded him when Christian would say, "I'm the TNT champion." It reminded him of me saying that when Tom beat Jerome, and I'm like, "We won, we won," and Tom's like, "You didn't win anything." So I was like, yeah, but yes, I'm still the reigning defending. And my son Tom, he conquered that person, but I took all the credit. And then I need to find a young whippersnapper to be my husband. Paige, you'll be my son. I give you all my wisdom anyways. So nominate me for Father of the Year. We're gonna have the XZs next month, and I have stiff competition because my competition for Father of the Year is going to be Christian Cage. I'm probably not winning, so I may just retract my vote. We have 2 awards. I'll give some context. We have 2 awards for that that are going to be more so for joking purposes. We have the Father of the Year, which is going to go to Christian Cage, and then we're going to have the Deadbeat Dad of the Year, which is going to go to Rey Mysterio. So, that's why I was so happy Logan Paul beat that deadbeat. But anyway, my point is, so me and Paige we're wanting to work with each other for a while. We had a one-time thing. Jerome as Wardlow, Tom as Luchasaurus, and Jay as Christian. Yeah, that works perfectly. Except, and no disrespect to Jerome, but Wardlow has more hair, even now. But what was I going to say? Oh, so we had a little, like a one shot of the Hangman Outcast that we brought back for one episode. And then after that, life happened. We had our things, and then we were trying to figure out something to do. And I think, Paige, you were the one that was kind of wanting to do something like this, right?
Yeah. We were just talking on the phone, and it was funny because the idea of the show, because a lot of the stuff, because we can be honest with, we can be open, and we can be honest with like our conversation that we had.
Yeah.
A lot of this originally was to make a mockery of a bunch of the stuff that was going on in the community. That was the original like joking point of the show, was that we would come on here and then we would just basically we would just joke about how to be better people.
Yeah.
Basically the premise of the program. But then we actually started talking, and we actually hit some real points, and we're like, oh, we could actually make a real legitimate kind of program from this, because we both have similar experience, because we both have, I don't want to say similar experience, we both have experiences in some really messy relationships. So that's when the idea of masculinity came in, because it's a men's program designed for men to become better men.
Yeah, and there is some sense of where we could talk about like certain things, even with, because like as men, and this could be a tease for a few years. As men, we shouldn't now. If you roll that way, if you like your fruity pebbles and all that, then so be it. More power to you. But as men on here, whether it's on the internet or in real life, you shouldn't be obsessing over other men, like saying their name 80 times in a community post or a Discord group post or whatnot. You shouldn't be doing that, or just stalking the person. I've had stalkers in my past, and I'm not just talking about here or on YouTube. I'm talking about outside of YouTube. Like I would wish most of the time it'd be women stalkers. I've had a few of those too. I'm not going to deny that. But the point is I'm trying to make here is that, instead of doing that, you should be better. You should go out, walk around, get out of bed, get laid, get on the sheets and just plow. Maybe make a few things, become a daddy, all that other stuff. You could do all that stuff if you just motivate yourself instead of just focusing on anything. Like how, I guess off topic, because some of these, it's kind of like Exiled Outcast. We have a formal topic, and then we may just segue. As anybody who knows me, I segue a lot. I'm like a fucking living Family Guy episode. But I'll ask you actually as a thing. What's your opinion on that? Like of people, and it's nobody in particular, just a generalization of it. of any people, whether it's on here in real life, like grown ass men stalking or caring about what other men do?
I think that's pathetic. If I'm being honest, the fact that grown men are stalking other grown men over the internet, people that they probably will have no form of real contact with in their life, have no real effect on what that person is going to do. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of energy.
And that's the thing. Like that's like for me, for example, I've cut out a lot of people in my life because I feel like I want people around that I could talk about whatever. Like again, when you and I have conversations, yeah, sometimes we'll talk about YouTube stuff, but we mostly talk about life shit, what's going on in our lives or whatnot. We had a conversation just a few minutes before we went live about this real life shit, and you know, or even Dan and I or whoever else. Like I'll say this, Jordan and I, we've had some good conversations that don't relate all the way to YouTube stuff, and you know, it's just the idea of, hey, you know, Tom and I have had conversations, David and I, you know, ever since he got better connection and all that, I can understand him and shit, you know, like, you know, there's people that you know, you can, you know, do that with. But if I'm going to be having a conversation with somebody and the only thing that comes out of their mouth is insert name here, insert name there, you know, I don't want to waste my time with you because you're based, and if it's consistent, you're a lost cause to me. I want people to bring me up and be, and even as me as the elder between the two of us, I want to learn even from a Paige or whoever. You know, I'm man enough to admit sometimes I go to Paige for advice, and he's like a lot younger than me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to fucking deny that. But, you know, I want people that I can learn from that will bring me up, that will keep me on my toes and all that stuff, instead of people that are going to just give me stress and give me, whether it's anxiety or whatnot and all that other stuff, and just people that are not decent people. And again, they could be completely different in real life. I don't know this. You know, it's like the thing, but you know, I kind of can tell sometimes because you can have a conversation with someone off air and have a conversation that is pretty good instead of just talking about whatever's going on the internet, you know. Let me read some chats real quick before we get out of here, because I think we're past the hour mark, but I want to see what's going on. Okay, Force Love. So that's basically what happened. So to answer your question again, it's basically the thing. Let's see. Mr. Sakai says, don't most of them fake the moaning? What do you call it? It depends.
That's if you don't know how to get it in the right spot. But anyways.
Yeah, that is true. You know, I've not really had any ones who said that or whatnot. I think one of them was, but that was just because that person was like, it was like basically like necrophilia at that point. It was like fucking because the person was like, they were wanting to do it, but it was like they were stiff. Like, fuck, I can't do what I usually do because the fucking bitch don't want to fucking help out. I would say that was probably the worst sex experience I ever had, and trust me, I have a few, which I'll be talking about in a upcoming Dead Man's Hand video. I'm bringing back the craziest sex stories, and this is going to be the 2023 or 2024 edition, whenever the fuck I decide to record it. Let me look at what else. J-Man gets put in the he's my buddy zone. I am your buddy until the end, from the Child's Play remake. MK MK says, I hope you use a condom. Okay. So there are times I do and there are times I don't. Usually the times I don't is if, you know, the tubes are tied. Birth control, that's tricky. That is tricky. Just like with condoms, it's tricky sometimes. Tubes tied, very unlikely. It's a rare instance you get a girl knocked up because I've been with a few girls who their tubes are tied. And trust me, we had a lot of fucking sex. Like sometimes a couple of times every few hours, not just fucking, and mind you, in the entire day. So if you think about that, it's a lot of sex, a lot of creaming, if you will. A lot of cream going into the areas, right? but you know, you got like so that I'm more trusting if a woman has her tubes tied than on birth control. But there are times where I've done it with the birth control, and again, I've surprisingly not knocked another girl up. Or if I have, they never told me. The only time I've told this story, I accidentally creamed in this one chick. Had to get a plan B. She wasn't on birth control. Everything was avoided. But that's my advice for that is never have unprotected sex. If you think your pull-out game's on point, never have unprotected sex when you're fucking drunk and or high. Because your pull-out game is shit after that point. At least from my experience. Let's see. George says that's a good point about the fake moaning. Sloppy says you got what I needed. Bit. She says I'm just a friend. And then he said, speaking of Logan Paul. See, I heard that he retired from boxing and he's now going to have a full-time career. Like most people, I'll believe it when I see it. Let's see. Jordan says, if a man forces another man in a stalking or focuses, this is going to turn dark real quick. If a man focuses on another man in a stalking matter, then that man has no life. I completely 100% agree with you. Satoru Gojo says your masculinity has been exiled. I don't know what to say about that. The show is called Exiled Masculinity. We are kind of exiled already in some way, shape, or form. So I don't know what that means. And George says, ever since me and Chayton had made peace, the conversations we had are way better than the ones before the conflict that sparked. Yeah, I'll say this. Because we've all talked about our different reasons why we cut ties with each other. Now, I'm not going to go into detail as to why, like the main stuff, but we just had I didn't agree when the whole thing happened. I didn't agree with certain things that was going on his end. He didn't agree with certain things on my end. I did something that honestly I should have done in hindsight and all that stuff. But we would have conversations back then. And sometimes I didn't feel like it was because we're big Star Wars fans, we're big SpongeBob fans, we're big wrestling fans. You know, we have those things in common. So us talking about that shit, you know, I want to talk about that shit. And nowadays we do have those types of conversations. So I feel like both of us have matured as not only men but individuals as a whole, and all that. Now, Satoru Gojo, and again, I apologize I butchered him. I'm asking what the show name means. Well, I would say rewind a bit because we already kind of gave the explanation of what, basically, in short terms, it's made by men, for men, to educate men, to be better men.
Yes, it means that it means that we have been. It means that
and to have
it's only a
as well.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta wait for him to come back because he's having mic issues again. I think David put a curse on him where he doesn't have internet connection, but he has mic issues now. I blame David. David's not here. I think he's doing a premiere right now, but I blame David anyways. It's his fault. It's his fault why Paige has issues right now. It has the issues he's had right now. He has passed along his curse around different people. Tom, Paige, he's passed all his issues in terms of technical issues, all that. Now we just need to see who is going to pick up a chair and force it into a twin bed and try to have sex with it. That I must find out who he passed that curse to. Could it be?
Somebody has to still have a twin bed around here.
Hey, it could be Brandon. It could be Brandon, my lotion exiled Martin. You know, it could be him. You know, I know Eric had a race car bed. I'm still waiting for him to ship that to me because I want to. You know, I told Eric this, Eric Lima. I told him, I said, I want to bang a girl in a race car bed. That is something that maybe is a weird thing, but you know what? Fuck it. I've had sex in weird places, floor, hospital beds, cemeteries, this, that, and the third. You know, I want a race car bed. I want something normal for us. So, yeah. So, Eric, I'm still waiting on that race car bed to be sent to my place. You know, I'll probably put it in my living room because, you know, I'll just put it there. That way I could bang her and then kick her out afterwards. And the door's right there. You know what? That's actually a good idea. I should get an extra bed and put it in the living room, and that's okay. That should be okay. So that bed is for just the girls I have no interest in, or even one night stand chicks. My main bed is for the one. If you get into this bedroom, that means you're something. That means you're worth something to me. And then if you ain't, you get in the other bed because after that you're getting the boot out. And I mean that figuratively.
Oh man, what you should do with this bed? What you should do is you should get like a little spring in it, so where once you're done with them, all you got to do is just push this button, and they're basically as soon as you hit the button, they're like just thrown out your house.
Yes, yes. Well, Jordan, you're calling me Chayton Cage. Well, I guess I'm going to have to. I am in the process of adopting people on here to keep the gimmick alive. It's the bullshit. I said, I'll take Paige as my son. Tom will be my son. And you know what, Jordan? Like hereby now you've been adopted by me. You are now my son, and I will. And you are now you have upgraded from Jordan Little to Jordan Long, and all that. I'll just come by during the weekends in the summertime, and we'll go to a baseball park like I promised David. Well, David could still be my son. I could adopt him too. I still owe him a baseball trip one day. Could you imagine that? Just my son. Yeah, we got that line trending. Shout out to your mom. But I was actually fun fact. I was telling my mom about because I was talking about Christian Cage today, and I was talking about when he would talk shit about Jordan or not Jordan, Jungle Boy's family, and the line I loved more than the whole "oh, your hat."
Oh man, I know exactly what line you're talking about.
Yeah, when he said, "You're like, I'm here to apologize that your whole family ain't dead, so they don't see what a disgrace you are, Jungle Boy." And he's like, on second thought, I take that back. Your whole family, except your mom, Jungle Boy. Then he pushed the mic down to call me. I was like, yes. Never fucking change. It's like when he talked shit to Ric Flair and all that. He said, there's not a God when Ric Flair is still live and all that. See, if David Hart does it, given, say, by the way, did you see my question before the countdown? I say, oh, let me see. All right, I didn't know. Okay, so Jordan says, so if it's to help men, educate them to be better men, what about women? I mean, would it help women to help men become better around them too? I'll let you answer that first.
Let me see. So if it's to help men to educate them to be better men, what about women? I mean, it would help women to help men become better around them too. Well, this is the problem. Most women, when it comes to men's advice about women don't care what men have to say about that in that regard. And Chayton, you can tell me if I'm wrong about that, but women don't really care about a man's perspective on that.
Let's look at it from this way. I've talked about before that in the past I'll go back and watch older streams of certain things that occurred. Let's say in the glorious year of our Lord 2021. And I would be listening to things because it would be a good laugh for me because I would see, wow, that hasn't aged well. Wow, that didn't last long. This, that, and the third, right? So I'm listening to certain things, and I'm listening how certain men who have an opinion over that counteracts the overall main narrative, right? At that time. And I'm listening to it, and I'm listening how these people who honestly, whether they may not know everything about a situation, they are, they're well articulate, they're well spoken, they're not just saying, "Oh, fuck you, bitch," I'll do it like I'm sure Jordan will get a kick out of this. "Fuck you, motherfucker, fuck you, bitch, I'll kill you, son of a bitch, you cocksucker motherfucker." There we go. That's for Jordan. Anyway, but I was like, like it was well articulate, but these people were just getting shunned down by all these different people, women and men, because their opinion did not reflect around them, which also centered around the female. And so, you look at that and you listen back to that and you think, wow, how things have different, like how it's different now and all that, but nobody was there to kind of educate it from the middle ground, because I think either people just didn't want to get involved, or they were afraid of the blowback, because if you said anything, whether it was with good intention or not, you were going to fucking get thrown in the fire and mocked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw people who lost decades-long years friendships over bullshit like that. And it's just, and listening back to that shit, you kind of look at it and you're like they needed a show like this back then. Granted, it was a situation kind of involving me in a way, but so I wasn't going to be able to do that with Credence. But again, it's like you look at it, you look at it from that point of view. Yeah, people needed to see this, because when a woman wraps her legs, I'll just say it like that, not her arms or manipulates you, that wraps her legs around and succumbs you with the nookie, you are going, and especially if you're not well experienced in the bullshit detector, you're going to be fixated and do whatever. I was that person. I've always said this. I was that person. If I found out something was going on, whether it was true or not, I would go want to beat the motherfucker. Nowadays, I'm like, okay. I'm not gonna, because we live in a different era with the Me Too movement. That any girl that doesn't get her way just says, oh, he sexually assaulted me. So now it's also ruined the possibility of actual women who have gone through that shit to be validated, because you got these cunts out here, like of course Amber Heard, who will try to ruin a man's life just because of some bullshit. And that's a sad fact of reality. Not that women, again, if any woman ever wants to come in and give, I'm more than happy to give a woman the ability to counteract, debate, or whatnot with us, or bring a friend, make it an even playing field or whatnot. I'm more than happy about that. But the point is that, sometimes I feel like that the men's side has been pushed down and not been able to speak, because of the fact that we're looked at as misogynist or this, that, and the third. I've openly said I am very open about my sex. I'm open about my thoughts on women sometimes, but I love pussy. I love women. So I'm not a misogynist, because a misogynist means you hate women. I just hate cunts, basically. Best way I can say it. Let me see what the comment said. Oh, damn, there was. See, there it is, a page catchphrase. That's the problem. I guess that's your problem. I guess that's your problem. I guess that's your catchphrase.
Maybe.
Let's see, Jordan. I'm totally screen recording now. You got my permission to do that. I knew Jordan would get a kick out of that. Let me see. Jordan says, I'm sick of Me Too. It's also ruined pro wrestlers who can't progress with their careers. Well, yeah, look at, I've been hearing in the news recently, Marty Scurll's been trying to make a comeback. He's supposed to be going to AAA and shit. And everybody's losing their shit over that shit. I'm at the point where I just, I don't know what's real and what's not anymore in terms of allegations. So I kind of just am like, all right. If he can get a second chance to do something with his career and and all that, well, so be it. Let him try. But it's like, I think he admitted to whatever they were accusing him of too. But again, I don't know that it's very gray area. I think in the laws in London or in the UK, depending on like age and all that other stuff. Because let's not forget, age of consent is different in fucking every state or every country, and so it's kind of like we may find it disgusting, but in there maybe current like the culture, it's just how it is, and so that's basically the best way I could talk about it, because again, I'm not experiencing British culture and British laws and shit, because I'm not from there. All I know is the laws here, and again, they may be different, and and to me, I'll say it like this: if you are not breaking the law in your country, if you're doing something that is legal within your country or within your state, yeah, you could get frowned upon by people who may not think it's ethical or whatnot. But let's be honest here. We can't do anything about it if it's the fact that your country, your state allows it. All we could do is criticize and or fucking I would say more criticize the state or country for their laws than anything else, because if you are allowed to do certain things in a state, then that's their fuck up, not yours, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that, actually, before we end this? Good little tongue twister.
I think that's the perfect thought to kind of close this on. But yeah, I do agree that a lot of that, if it's legal in your country, wherever it is, and I'm not to say that is completely like the way it should go, like that's like the set law, because every country has different, rules and regulations. But if it was legal in your country, it's legal then. And I do feel like in a lot of ways, if it was legal then, you shouldn't be able to be punished for it now.
Or if you go into a different state, as long as you're abiding by the current laws in your state or in your country, if you move to a different one, then to me that like whatever you did previously, again, as long as it's within, and again, only thing we could say is it may not be ethical to our current law standards or beliefs around the law. That's basically all we could do on that. Now, Jordan says Mario Scroll should go to TNA. I can work a good program with here when I break into business. So you're going to be the hero against the villain. I thought it was supposed to be a build-up between you and me and RCW if I ever decide to just get in the ring one time and get my and all that. But I wouldn't do an RCW. If you and I had a match, I would love to have a Texas death match. And I'm talking like GCW death match. Light tubes and fucking flaming tables and shit. Because I could take pain. I would do a pile driver through a fucking a table through a flaming table of barbed wire and shit. Take a fork, all that good shit. Again, with the backyard stuff I used to do when I was younger, that fucking shit I could and all that, that would be my only rule. If we ever had like an actual wrestling match, I would just say it would need to be under GCW rules. It need to be a Texas death match. Those are my conditions. Texas death match under GCW rules, basically. It doesn't even need to be in GCW. I'm talking just where it's tube lights, barbed wire, scaffolds, all that good shit. Glass plates, all that good shit. So yeah, I'll throw to end it with this. I'll throw down the challenge for that. Those are my terms and conditions, and then we could the money we could make even streaming it off of YouTube. Would you watch it? Would you watch that train wreck page?
Oh man, I'd be over there trying to call commentary for it. What are you talking about?
Oh, you don't want to be the referee?
Who will be the referee?
We know one hillbilly person who used to always say, "I'll be the referee," but no, we won't have him because after that he'll try to give one of us a bath. No. You know who?
I'm thinking about who should be the referee now. Thinking about it now.
Who's the referee?
Make David the referee.
No, because we need someone to be unbiased. We don't want to swerve, bro. We don't need someone to slow count.
I'm saying that because David is going to have the best reactions to everything.
Oh, like if I give him a pile driver on thumbtacks, I pin him 1-2, and he kicks out. David's like, puts his hands on his cheeks with the O face.
Not only that, but just David will cringe so much throughout the match.
The blood coming out of our fucking heads and all that other stuff. Well, yeah, and you know what? We instead of having it on free YouTube, we would pay people that, hey, you want to watch this? Like, I'd fucking because OnlyFans can be made for other things, not just for sex reasons. I would make an OnlyFans and I would charge people $50. I feel like that's reasonable. $50 to subscribe to be able to get the match, or even cash at me or whatever the fuck or whatever. We split the profits, whatever else. That would be the way people could see it in its entirety. The only people that would be witnessing to it is for free is like Paige, David, and anybody else who would, maybe Dan would be the what would you be? Would you be play-by-play or would you be color?
Oh man, I probably would be. I feel like I probably would be play-by-play, and Dan would probably.
Yeah,
Dan probably would be. Dan would be a good color.
And we'd have a and of course we would only have 2 man. We don't need 3-man announce booth or all that stuff. Then we just gotta find a ring announcer. You know what? I'll throw him a bow. We'll get Brandon. I love
get Brandon Martin to do the ring. Get Brandon Martin to do the ring announcing. We'll get Brandon Martin to do the ring announcing. We'll get David 3000 to promote and to referee the thing. Or actually, no. David 3000 to be the ref, and actually, let me see. Tom would be the promoter. Tom would be the promoter.
That, and Tom could also. Then we have to find a cameraman.
Tom could probably do that too. We'll give Tom double duty.
Yeah. So Tom will do all that. He'll be the cameraman and all that. Then he can edit it. Maybe make a little gift, kind of like what I do with some of the girls. I do stuff with OnlyFans too. I create little gifts and little 5-second clips of anything. That way it teases people to buy the full amount. There we go. And Jordan said the payout for us $1 million each. And a buzz for how people pay to see us. Oh, I'm a simple man. I don't need $1 million. I could take a few grand. I'm not someone who needs to be paid that much money. I said if we did it kind of like a shoot, basically to the point where we may call who gets pinned, but whoever is not able to stand, that would be the shoot part, where basically the only way we know we won is if the other person is so beaten that they can't fucking get up. That would be how I would do it. So yeah, I would only take a couple of grand, and all that. We just have a few. We lost the host or the co-host. Well, I'll probably end this here, but yeah, there's a little thing, but those are terms and conditions, and yeah, we put it on an OnlyFans page to charge people for the shit and all that good stuff. But yeah, mark your calendars down in the words of Chet Cheddarfield and from Lance Catamaran from Southpaw Regional Wrestling. Lethal leap year in whatever year that has a leap year, maybe doesn't have a leap year in 2028 or 2029 or something. Lethal leap year will be the death match of the century. We had debates of the century and all that. We have the death match of the century. Lethal leap year on February 29th of 2028 or whatever. When is the next leap year? I'm actually curious. I'm kind of curious because I can't remember the last time we had a leap year. I'm gonna look at my calendar real quick, just randomly,
it's next year. Next year.
Oh, it is? Okay. So yeah, lethal leap year 2028 or 2029 or whatever the fuck will be the in the words of Lance Catamaran from Southpaw Regional Wrestling, and we will get some good old fashioned professional wrestling. But yeah, that'll be the time, place, and the venue will be some backyard with a makeshift ring and all that other stuff. No, lethal. Okay, so lethal leap year 2025. Lethal leap year 2025 will be when we do it. That should give you enough time to train. I'll just be sitting like basically you would do montage videos of you training, going up mountains or hills or whatnot. I'd just be sitting at a fancy hotel by the pool, sitting there in my leopard.
No. What you'll be doing is just sitting down eating Taco Bell.
Oh yes, yes. Eating Taco Bell with my leopard
In
PJ.
each training video, you'll be just sitting down eating Taco Bell.
Yeah, they'll play some inspirational music for Jordan while he's climbing out, and then they'll come back to me with no music, just sitting there eating my Taco Bell, just sitting there shirtless with my leopard pants.
Eating Taco Bell, watching Jordan's videos.
Yeah, the promo work would be excellent. I would be, of course, we would know if this is a legit thing. It would be he would be the face and I would be a heel because I'm just a good dick. I'd be like and all that. I'd be like, do you have what I have, Jordan? I have two women in my arms right now feeding me Taco Bell. I have a fucking tiger behind me. It's like a CGI tiger or some shit. All right, do you have a tiger, Jordan? No, you don't, because you ain't like me. Can you walk around wearing these leather pants and nothing, or these leather pants or these leopard pants and nothing else? I said, are you a man enough to drop your drawers right here, right now? I am. I will put my thing out on the fucking balcony of this hotel and urinate all over the people down below me. Because I'm me. I'm Hollywood Chayton Log or whatever the fuck I'll go, whatever gimmick I'll go by. And then all that. No, if we really did that, it would have to be an antithesis. So I would, which that would be an antithesis, but I would go for more of a dark character, like a Malachi Black type shit. It's like the antithesis of light versus dark, kind of like Shawn versus Undertaker in the WrestleMania 25. Nonetheless, besides the fun promotion for Lethal Leap Year in a couple of years, this is a good episode, I think. Paige, any final thoughts before we end it? You there? Damn it, I'm even having issues. Oh, we lost him again. Well, I'll end this here because the host is going back and forth. But I appreciate everybody for watching and like the good banter back and forth. And I also like the different conversations. Oh, we'll bring him back in before we end this.
All right,
I keep
there we
saying,
go.
Paige, David put a curse on you.
Yeah, man. Fuck David. Hashtag fuck David. New hashtag. I can't think of anything else. I think this has been a good. I think this has been a good episode.
And we'll be back with the next one in a future day. We'll probably discuss what, because we have different ideas of what other episodes we'll do. Unfortunately, I do not still know my full schedule this week, so just keep on the lookout when I schedule, because there'll probably be another open house sometime this week, and all that. And I gotta check out my Blu-rays I got today at Walmart, because they had some. They still had some of the Halloween steelbooks. I'm talking like the Halloween season, not the movie. Well, I did buy a steelbook of the two movies, but nonetheless, with that, guys, I bid you all adieu. And before we get it, I gotta get to the other part. So until next time, ladies and gents, ta-ta for now.